Hello world, it's Vagabond here, and we are in Tashkent, the capital city of Uzbekistan. This is the very beginning of my adventures in this wonderful country. I'm planning to spend here at least 2, maybe even 3 weeks and explore not just the capital city but also the countryside of Uzbekistan. Now it's the very end of March, and as you can see, it's already like summer here. The temperature is plus 25 Celsius. Tashkent is actually the third biggest city of the post-Soviet Union. Only Moscow and St. Petersburg are bigger than Tashkent. Its population is more than 3 million people. First, I want to say that this is so easy to become a millionaire in Uzbekistan. I've just exchanged $100 and got 1,138,000 Uzbek sums. The major kind of transport in Tashkent is subway. There is quite a developed subway system that consists of 4 lines. Let's take a metro to our first place of interest. The official language of Uzbekistan is Uzbek. However, you can still find a lot of Russian signs on the streets. I have already heard a lot of people speaking Russian, even native Uzbeks, so it's widely spoken here. There is such a lovely TV broadcasting tower painted in the colors of Uzbekistan flag. Uzbekistan is famous for its rich cultural heritage, and not only cities like Samarkand and Khiva are famous for that, but also Tashkent. I've noticed that the majority of cars in Tashkent are Chevrolet. Just look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and they're all Chevrolet. It's probably local production, but perhaps they have high taxes for some foreign produced cars. That's why they all buy only local ones. Just made it to the outskirts of Tashkent, and the exit from the subway station is leading to the massive market. I was thinking that this is the mosque, but apparently it is madrasa, so basically Muslim school where children learn basics of Islam. Typical Soviet neighborhood with these 9-story blocks of flats, and one of them is decorated with this mosaic. There is such a wonderful construction, like an arch decorated with national ornament. There is the police officer that secures the territory of President's Palace. Like in Kazakhstan, you can't approach it, but in Kyrgyzstan, for example, you can. Guess what it is? This is the Hotel Uzbekistan. Such an interesting architecture. What a beauty, look at that. It's a living turtle. I do like Tashkent because of such amount of trees and green zones, especially in the very end of March, which is so unusual for me. This is what I personally expected from Uzbekistan, and here it is. We are on the very outskirts of Tashkent. This is a huge market with endless taxi drivers and stuff. We are finally departing from Tashkent in the seat carriage. It's a great advantage that our wagon is the last one, so we have golden opportunity to observe trucks from the rear of the train. I made it to the hostel, which is located in the historical center of Samarkand, and the hostel turned out to be in a typical Uzbek house. It was probably constructed for a huge Uzbek family. This is just one of the rooms. There are currently 4 beds. There is another room for just 1 person. Here is the kitchen. It feels like back to the USSR, you know, back to the childhood, to the house of babushka. I ordered this kind of lagman and plov. I didn't really order these salads, so they just kind of brought it along with main dishes. And also they got me this wonderful tea. Samarkand is the 3rd largest city in Uzbekistan, formerly it was the center of trade because the city was located on the Silk Way. Actually, Samarkand is a very old city. The first signs of human activity here dates back to 7th and 8th centuries before Christ. Currently, Samarkand is too touristy place. Midday of the Sunday, and there are thousands of people. So currently we are at the Registan Square in Samarkand. This is the square which is remarkable by these three madrasas. This is Ulugh-Bek Madrasa, the oldest one. It was built in 15th century. And there are also two other madrasas constructed between 16th and 17th centuries. This is the inner yard of madrasa, which is now full of tourists, and it also was turned into a kind of a market. There is a lot of street vendors selling different souvenirs. However, it doesn't spoil this atmosphere because you can still enjoy these wonderful mosaics. Hard to imagine that it was constructed that many years ago, and their details have still been preserved. I mean, the details of these walls, arches, doors and stuff. We are inside one of the madrasas. It's still not the oldest one, but at least here was the open entrance. Lovely. There is the room in madrasa, the room of Ulugh-Bek. This madrasa was actually named after Ulugh-Bek. It was Uzbek astronomer. There is an observatory of Ulugh-Bek, and also the room in madrasa that depicts different kind of, I don't know, space photos like planets, some people studying astronomy. There is such an outstanding fresco on the wall of a residential building depicting Uzbek people in their national costumes with their national music instruments. This aspect depicts the essence of agriculture in this area, rich historical heritage. Okay, and we finally made it to the bazaar. There you can buy different Orient sweets, dry fruits, but unlike in Tashkent, this one is not that chaotic. We are still in the very center of Samarkand, on the territory of the ancient settlement that was called Afrasiab. Currently, the high-speed train that runs from Tashkent to Samarkand is called the same way, Afrasiab. This is from where the regions of Samarkand come, from this territory. So here used to be an ancient fortress, and currently there are just some kind of archaeological sites. So at first glance it looks like just a field, but in fact it has a huge historical background. New day in Uzbekistan. Today I'm finally leaving Samarkand. I finally got well after the disease. It took me 4 days to treat my body. Today we are going to Bukhara, another famous city in Uzbekistan. We'll take the passenger train there. There is such a massive train station in Samarkand. We are going to get there through this kind of checkpoint. There is no free entrance to the station, so you have to have a ticket to get there. And also they double check the ticket inside. Quite a secured place, but beautiful one. Okay, here is our train that we're going to take to Bukhara. We're going to take a seat carriage in the very rear of the train. We are riding the passenger train through Uzbek nowhere. Typical Uzbek scenery, just like flat terrain, endless fields. People do agriculture here, and this is their major occupation. A lot of cattle in the fields. 5 minutes left to Bukhara, and there is just nothing around aside from the desert. And Bukhara is likely to be oasis surrounded by limitless sands of Karakum desert. Here we are in the old town of Bukhara. The city is famous for its ancient Muslim architecture that we are going to explore today. Not going to spend many hours here, just like 5 to 6, and then we'll take another train to Khiva, another kind of the historical city in Uzbekistan. Look what I found. It's such a wonderful door with incredible decorations there. And also there are some kind of narrow streets. This is what European old towns are famous for. Some walls of this house look pretty weak. It seems that they just mixed concrete, but there is a cement, with this dry grass. Okay, we have just ordered some food.
This is gonna be lagman, again, one of my favorite Uzbek dishes. And there is chicken fillet, if I'm not mistaken, with sauce. We just decided to walk around the old town of Bukhara and find some interesting stuff, like this minaret. Probably it's the mosque, but what is more interesting is that there is this kind of dwell. Not sure if this original one or not, because it seems to be newly built. The dwell like in India, you know, but doesn't seem to be ancient. Also a nice idea to diversify the urban landscape. We made it out of the city center and found such a lovely Soviet Volga, and less lovely, I don't know, it's like a madrasa or mosque, but this one seems to be pretty abandoned and partly ruined. Maybe they plan to reconstruct it in the future, I don't know, but it's definitely a historical heritage. Hopefully it will be reconstructed. But the question is how it ended up to be in that state. Yeah, there is this kind of souvenirs that they produce here in their hostel. So you see this kind of statue, caps.
Жарко, света можете ветер. Это вентилятор без батареи, без электричества.
Yeah, it's like a manual cooler.
Innovation. Uzbek innovation. Коврик под чайника, коврик под стаканчика.
Or cup.
Это национал. Это называется бахмаль. И у него здесь есть коттон. Коттон, потому что это, чтобы не стал холодным. Ручное изделие.
Да.
Это тоже бахмаль. Руки это шито все. И он очень тепло. У него есть второй часть.
Как подклад.
Да, подкладка. Это тоже у нас национальными цветами раскрашено. Это мужской. На это уже 70 лет.
We have just found a mosque of incredible architecture here in Bukhara. It's open only for Muslims, but we can enjoy it from the street. I don't know, these columns, they look so weak, declined. It looks like the building is going to collapse very soon. There is such an incredible minaret on the square of Bukhara. There are some mosques, probably madrasa, and this original minaret, the only one which is illuminated on this square. Okay, I'm at Bukhara railway station again. I'm going to take the night train to Khiva and explore another old town of Uzbekistan. It's morning in the train and we are approaching the town of Khiva. The wagon is almost empty, so very few passengers go to Khiva, but just 5 minutes left and we will be there.
Khiva is the city situated in the Khwarezm region of Uzbekistan, near the border with Turkmenistan. According to archaeological data, Khiva was founded more than 2,500 years ago. The city is currently populated by approximately 100,000 people. Khiva has a rich history and is renowned for its well-preserved old town, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Khiva played a key role as a trading post on the Silk Road. Khiva reflects the cultural and historical influences of various civilizations, including Persian, Arabic, and Turkic cultures, making it a unique destination for those interested in Central Asian history and heritage. The old town of Khiva is characterized by its distinctive mud brick architecture, including numerous mosques, madrasas, mausoleums, and minarets. The heart of Khiva is the ancient walled city known as Ichan Kala. It is surrounded by brick walls that were built in the 10th century and is home to numerous historic buildings and monuments.
I do like the way they represent street signs here. It has this kind of silhouette of Khiva.
In the morning before the influx of tourists, Old Town looked a bit deserted. I found it the best time to explore Khiva without crowds of people. The town is accessible by motor road and the railway. In the satellite city of Urgench, there is also an international airport. By the way, Khiva and Urgench are connected by the intercity trolleybus. This is the only active trolleybus system in Uzbekistan. In addition, trolleybus ticket costs almost nothing. 4,000 sum per 36 kilometers of the ride.
Lovely. It looks like a regional bus with this kind of shutters. But it's trolleybus. Today I decided to suffer to hitchhike towards Dukus.
It's actually slightly more than 150 kilometers, maybe 160, but it's always challenging to get out of Uzbek towns and cities because they're quite sprawling and there is just no public transportation. There is the only bus route in the whole city, one marshrutka to Khiva and one trolley bus also to Khiva, but that's completely different way. So I'm trying to just walk to the outskirts and start hitchhiking from there. I hope that it's gonna work. Holy shit, this guy looks wild. Literally. He's just like patrolling the road. Здрасте. Вы мороженое продаете?
Вот это вот стакан печенья. Один стакан.
Не-не, я не буду, я просто показываю вот, путешествие. Вот мороженое такое. Класс.
Какой год? Москва, Россия.
Россия, Ижевск. Давайте, удачи. До свидания. Okay, I managed to stop the first car in just 2 minutes. So we are going to the main highway that is leading to Nukus. Как вас зовут?
Алим.
Алим. Я Иван. Давайте знакомиться.
Очень рад. Шахназар.
Очень приятно. А вы вообще из Ургенча?
Нет, Беруни.
С Беруни.
Да.
Как там в Беруни?
Как? Хорошо. Кстати, сегодня концерт будет.
Концерт?
Знаешь, Джана Брасула, знаешь?
Нет, не знаю.
Сакит Самирова знаешь?
Нет.
Азербайджанец.
Нет, не знаю.
Вот сегодня бой будет и концерт будет.
А что за бой?
Без правила, бой без правил.
Ух ты.
У нас вот Пакистан, северную сторону, зима будет такой, 30 градусов мороза в Москве можно терпеть, а у нас невозможно терпеть 30 градусов. Сухой такой мороз будет, с ветром.
After Urgench, I went to the northwest of Uzbekistan to see what happened to the Aral Sea, one of the largest lakes in the world that has been drying up for more than half of the century. By the way, it would be more correct to call Aral Sea, as well as the Caspian and Dead Seas, Enderhaik lakes, because they do not have evident outlet and direct connection to the world's ocean. Anyway, it's not the main point. The Aral Sea has significantly diminished in size over the decades primarily due to human activities, such as the diversion of water from its two main tributaries, the Amu Darya and the Sir Darya rivers, for agricultural irrigation. The sea began shrinking in the 1960s and largely dried up by the 2010s.
There is a very nice monument that shows the process of disappearing of the Aral Sea. This is how it looked in 1960, so 60 years ago it was full of water. Then we can come to this part of Triangle. This is how the sea looked in 1980, so 40 years ago. Way less water, as you can see. And also the final picture, it depicts the present condition of the sea, so very few water has remained.
I visited the town of Muinak that once had a thriving port on the Aral Sea, but with the sea's decline, it turned into a symbol of environmental disaster. Muinak's economy was historically dependent on fishing and the maritime industry. As the Aral Sea dried up, the fishing industry collapsed, leading to the widespread unemployment and economic hardship for the local population.
It's actually so surreal to walk the place that used to be the sea. Well, effectively any place in the past was a part of the world ocean. Anyway, it's a different feeling because it was a sea relatively recently, not like billion years ago, but just 40, 50.
The retreating sea left behind a desolate landscape and Muinak became surrounded by salty desert. The exposed seabed released toxic dust and chemicals, contributing to environmental degradation and health issues among the residents. Despite the challenges, Muinak has also sought to capitalize on its unique status as a former port town on the Aral Sea. The exposed ship graveyard, where rustling ships lie on the dry seabed, has attracted some tourists interested in the environmental and historical aspects of the region. Various international efforts and projects have been initiated to address the environmental issues associated with the Aral Sea. These projects aim to improve water management practices, restore ecosystems, and mitigate the impact of the sea's decline. There have been some positive developments in recent years, particularly in the northern part of the Aral Sea. Efforts to restore the northern section, known as the North Aral Sea, have shown some success, with water levels rising and fish populations returning. Unfortunately, the southern part of the Aral Sea continues to face significant challenges and its water levels remain low. The case of the Aral Sea serves as a stark example of the environmental consequences of unsustainable water management and the importance of considering long-term ecological impacts in large-scale development projects. Thank you for watching this video. Initially, I was supposed to include train hopping footages into this episode of Central Asian Adventures. However, due to YouTube policy against dangerous content, I didn't do so. To watch how I rode freight trains in Uzbekistan, subscribe to my Patreon, so you'll get the access to the content which is unavailable on YouTube. See you in the next video.